Welcome back to the Easy English Practice Podcast, your go-to show for real-world English. I'm Daniel, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Olivia.
Hello, Daniel, and hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be here with you today. It's always a pleasure to join these conversations.
So, Olivia, today we're diving into one of the biggest challenges English learners face, understanding native speakers. It's a common frustration. You've studied for years, you know the grammar, your vocabulary is solid, but then you try to follow a conversation between two native speakers, and it's like listening to a different language altogether.
Yeah, it's something we hear all the time. You might feel totally confident reading or writing in English, but as soon as someone speaks quickly, uses slang, or mumbles a bit, comprehension drops. So today, we're going to break that down. We'll talk about why it happens, give you real examples, and share techniques you can use to get better at understanding fast, messy, real-life English. This isn't just about theory, it's about how people actually speak every day.
So, let's start with one of the biggest issues, speed. Native speakers talk really fast, but what most learners don't realize is that it's not just about speed, it's also about how we connect words together in ways that can completely change how they sound. Words that are clear when you read them often sound totally different in conversation. For example, instead of saying, "What are you doing?" someone might say, "What you doing?" Or, "Did you eat yet?" might come out as, "Did you eat yet?" The words blur together, and they don't sound the way you expect. So it's not just fast, it's also really different from what you see in textbooks.
Absolutely. And one thing to understand is that this isn't something we do on purpose. It's not like we're trying to be difficult. It's just the natural way we speak. Our brains process the meaning automatically, so we don't need to articulate every single syllable. That's why it's so shocking for learners at first. You hear what sounds like one word, but it's actually three or four blended together. And if you're expecting formal textbook pronunciation, you'll be completely thrown off.
Yeah, and the problem is even worse when you're listening to a group conversation. It's not just one person speaking fast, it's three or four people jumping in, talking over each other, using inside jokes, cutting words short. It's overwhelming. But here's the good news. The more you expose yourself to it, the better your brain gets at decoding it. It's not about understanding every word, it's about training your ear to follow the rhythm.
Exactly. We'll talk more about how to train your ear later. But for now, just know this. Fast speech isn't your fault. You're not bad at English. It's just that natural English is very different from classroom English. So don't be discouraged if you struggle. Everyone does at first. All right, let's talk about rhythm and intonation. Two things that are absolutely essential to understanding spoken English. English is a stress-timed language, which means some syllables are stressed and others are reduced or even dropped entirely. That's why native speech sounds kind of musical or bouncy. We don't say every word with equal emphasis. Instead, we stress the key words and rush through the rest.
Totally. Let's take a sentence like, "I'm going to have to do it." On paper, it looks simple, but when a native speaker says it quickly, it sounds completely different. We don't pronounce each word clearly and slowly. Instead, we reduce and connect the sounds. It ends up sounding more like, "I'm gonna have to do it." See how some words change completely? "I'm going to" becomes "I'm gonna," and "have to" turns into "have to." That's the natural rhythm of spoken English. If you're listening for every perfect word, it might sound confusing or too fast. But if you focus on the stressed words, "gonna," "have to," "do it," and let the smaller ones fade into the background, you'll start to catch the real meaning much more easily.
And intonation matters too, the way our pitch rises and falls. It can change the meaning completely. For example, the sentence "you're coming" can be a question or a statement depending on the intonation. If I say it with a rising tone, "You're coming?" I'm asking. But if I say it flat, "You're coming," I might just be confirming something. So rhythm and intonation aren't just background, they're part of the message.
It's so true. A lot of learners get stuck thinking they need to understand every word clearly, but in real speech, that's not realistic. Instead, train your ear to follow the stressed words and the pitch. Over time, you'll find that you can catch the meaning even if you don't hear every word.
Now let's get into slang and idioms, two things that confuse even advanced learners. Slang changes all the time, and it's full of cultural context. Idioms are often completely illogical, like if I say break a leg, I'm actually wishing you good luck. Or if I say I'm feeling under the weather, I mean I'm sick. Nothing about weather in that sentence makes it obvious. And then there's modern slang, things you see on YouTube, TikTok, or hear in songs, like this party is fire or I'm low-key obsessed. These phrases are everywhere, but they don't mean what they literally say. And if you're not constantly exposed to pop culture, you'll miss them. Even native speakers from different generations get confused by new slang sometimes.
It's like the language inside the language. Formal English is what you learn in school, but slang and idioms are what you hear in real life. And it's frustrating because you can't just look up every phrase word by word. You have to learn them as chunks, and most importantly, learn them in context.
Yeah, context is everything. Try to notice when and where people use these phrases. Are they joking? Are they being serious? Are they with friends or at work? The more examples you hear, the more naturally these expressions will stick. Another thing we should touch on is the difference between reading and listening. When you read, you have time. You can pause, reread, and think about the meaning. But in a conversation, you don't have that luxury. The words come fast, and by the time you realize you missed something, the speaker is already on the next sentence.
Exactly. And sometimes you know the words, you know the vocabulary, but you don't recognize them when they're spoken because they sound so different, like gonna, wanna, lemmy, dunno. These are real phrases we use all the time, but they don't look like textbook English. You can't learn them just by reading. You have to hear them.
It's like your brain has to learn to match the sound with the meaning. At first, there's a delay, but with practice, that gap gets smaller. One day you'll hear, I'm gonna head out, and you won't even have to translate, and you'll just know what it means.
That's why listening practice is so important. Not just passive listening, but active listening, listening with a purpose. We'll talk about some techniques in a moment. So now that we've talked about the problem, let's talk about solutions. How do you actually get better at understanding native English? One of the most powerful methods is called shadowing. You listen to a sentence, pause, and repeat it exactly how it was said. Try to copy the rhythm, the intonation, even the pauses.
Shadowing is amazing because it trains your ear and your mouth at the same time. You're not just hearing the sounds, you're producing them, and that helps your brain connect sound to meaning much faster. Another tip, start with content that you enjoy. If you like movies, use movies. If you like music, use lyrics. Make it fun so you keep coming back to it.
And don't be afraid to slow things down. Use YouTube's slow playback or apps that let you repeat sections. Break it into pieces. Listen to a sentence, then try to say it yourself. Then listen again and see what you missed. And if you want to practice even more, check out our shadowing videos here on the channel. They're designed to help you improve both your listening and your speaking in a natural, step-by-step way. Make it a daily habit. 10 minutes a day is enough if you're consistent.
Also, record yourself. It sounds weird, but it really works. When you hear yourself speak, you start noticing where your pronunciation differs from native speakers. It's like giving yourself feedback. And remember, you're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for confidence and clarity. So to wrap it all up, understanding native English is hard, yes, but it's not impossible. And it's not about intelligence or talent. It's about exposure and practice. The more you listen, the more patterns you recognize, and the easier it becomes.
Exactly. Don't be too hard on yourself if you struggle. Every learner goes through this, and even people who speak English every day can get caught off guard by fast conversations or unfamiliar slang. It happens, but if you stay consistent, keep practicing, and stay curious, your ears will start to adapt.
Thanks for listening to the Easy English Practice podcast. If you found this helpful, we'd love it if you subscribed or shared the podcast with a friend. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can join as a member or tap the thanks button right here on YouTube. It really helps us keep creating more useful content for you. Also, let us know what topics you'd like us to cover next. We're always listening.
Take care, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.